Kirk or whatever, the Captain Picard meets his nemesis. Doing battle, the nemesis can be the dark side within can be your nemesis. Try and make friends. Try and make peace with your nemesis. Try and make peace with the dark side within. So start. So love thine enemy. And where is your greatest enemy? Your greatest enemy is inside with you. Keep your friends close. Keep your enemies even closer. The enemy within, keep it close. Love it. Love your enemy. Love the enemy within. Your greatest enemy is the enemy within. Learn to love the enemy within. And this ties up with the concept of ego, but there is such a thing as healthy. Ego is not automatically bad. There's healthy ego, there's unhealthy. There's healthy narcissism, there's unhealthy narcissism. My psychologist says I'm narcissistic, but my narcissism is healthy, which is good for performing arts. It's good for delivering lectures. It's good for performing arts. Healthy narcissism has its upside. There's something called malignant narcissism, which is a big, big, big problem. And there's lots and lots of stuff on YouTube about malignant narcissism and how to handle such people. Now, to sum up Christianity simply, well, one simple summing up is be thou like little children. In other words, put upward pressure on upward pressure on being childlike and downward pressure on being childish. Another summary that I come up with: what matters is purity of heart. Put up, it's poetic, isn't it? What does purity of heart actually mean? Put upward pressure on purity of heart, which means putting upward pressure on your intentions being fit, being non-toxic. Your intentions being benign to beneficial, and your motivations being benign to beneficial. No toxic intention. Downward pressure on toxic intentions. Downward pressure on. Now, in God theory, God knows what's in your heart. So you cannot hide what's in your heart from God, so why even bother? Why hide what's in your heart from yourself? You can't, metaphorically, poetically, if there is a God, which there probably isn't, you can't hide what's in your heart from God, so why even bother to try and hide what's in your heart from yourself, which is where prayer comes in. Dear God, help me to be a better person, help me to be more self-aware and self-honest. That reminds me. The two prerequisites for proper love, meaningful love, true love, the love of Jesus, agape. I mentioned humility. The starting point for a happy universe is enough people being sufficiently humble. The next thing is self-honesty. If you're honest with yourself, you know when to lie to other people. If you're dishonest, if you're dishonest with yourself, you become a loose cannon. Seriously. So, step number 1 is humility. Step number 2 is self-honesty. Then the next level, perhaps two things that come together, are love and courage. Love is one thing, but actually to put love into practice requires courage. To overcome inner demons requires courage. And courage doesn't come all in one go. You have to work at it. And there is that expression, fools rush in where brave men dare to tread. So don't rush in. Don't be reckless. Don't be stupid. Don't be a fool. But on the other hand, don't hide away. If you don't stick your neck out, you can't get your head blown off. If you do stick your neck out, you can get your head blown off. If you stick your head off with intelligence, you stick your neck out with intelligence, well, then you can be a force for good. And also a quotation, who said this? It's only those who are willing to go too far who find out how far it is possible to go. And I've taken that one step further. I've gone too far. I've experimented with going too far. I don't just know how far one can go. I know how far one should go. And the more people follow in my footsteps, the better. Not that I'm flogging my religion as better than anybody else's. I think everybody needs to have their own individual personal gods and saints in each moment. Every person. Don't get an off the shelf religion. Well, if you must, you must. but have personal gods and saints, personal to you in this moment. Next to you might have different gods, different saints. Right now, who are my gods? Well, Jesus, Muhammad, Einstein, Voltaire, C.S. Lewis, all these, a lot of these people started off as atheists and they went on a journey and became Christian. I've become Christian, but then I've actually, Christianity, I haven't stopped at Christianity, I've kept on going. My philosophy now, I call it, what do I call it? My philosophy now is ethical pragmatism. Now, that might evolve further or it might not. Ethical pragmatism might be my personal stopping point. And who are my gods? Well, I can say Jesus, Muhammad, etc. But I'm getting close to ending now. I've certainly got one more page to go. Heisenberg, science, can't remember his first name, famous scientist. He said something very profound, and this is true. This is true in my life as well, and I think it's true in Professor Peterson's life as well. Okay. It's about science. Now you don't have to be scientifically minded. You can lead an okay, godly life without being a scientific expert, an expert in scientific methods and double-blind experiments. You don't have to be a scientist to be an okay person, a good enough person, a worthy person. You don't need it. But for scientists, here we are. Heisenberg said, at the first gulp of the glass of the natural sciences, one becomes an instant atheist. But if one carries on drinking down to the bottom of the glass, at the bottom of the glass, one finds God waiting for one. Now, this was true for Heisenberg, it's true for me, true for C.S. Lewis, and it looks like, at the moment, Jordan Peterson, Professor Peterson, is on the same journey. Now, I haven't stopped at Christianity. I've gone to multi-faith theology, and I've gone beyond that to ethical pragmatism. And another thought, throughout our lives, especially in childhood, we're surrounded by monsters. There's this concept of monsters, this concept of monsters under bed, and the child is worried about monsters under the bed. And, well, actually, whilst they're asleep, the monsters might come into their dreams. So when they're about to go to bed, they think the monsters might be under the bed. A good parent will check under the bed and say, well, darling, I've checked in the bed. There's nothing there at the moment. I'll check every day. You're okay for night. Have a good night's sleep. You're okay now. No monster under the bed tonight. I'll check every day just in case. I don't think there will be monster under the bed. Just in case, I'll check. That way you get a good night's sleep. That's a good parent. And these monsters, children are surrounded by monsters of every kind. I mean, the mother might be monstrous in one way without realizing it. The father might be monstrous in another way without realizing it. And relatives and teachers, teachers tend to be anti-bullying, but they're bullies. Teachers are hypocrites. They're they preach anti-bullying, but they're bullies. Teachers are really messed up creatures. Our education system, to about 1984, our public education system systematically stupefies people. It brainwashes them with bollocks and won't let them think outside the box and won't let them spread their wings. Albert Einstein said when school, he said he was going to be a dunce. Because they thought he was dunce, he didn't get indoctrinated with shit and became a genius. And, these internalized monsters create the inner critic. And we have to, with the help of each other, with the help of other more enlightened creatures, we need to deal with our inner critic. There's an upside and downside to everything. I say, except beating yourself up. There isn't really an upside to beating yourself up. Self-bullying. And every cloud has a silver lining, but every single lining tends to be surrounded by a cloud. These monsters outside you in childhood, external monsters tend to get internalized into your brain. So inside your brain, there's not only your true self, but there's a load of monsters and there's a load of false selves to deal with the monsters, the inner monsters. And this film, The Forbidden Planet, this machine, actually, when people fell asleep, the machine read their dreams and created monsters, real life monsters, with thousands of so powerful, these monsters. And the quotation from the film, the guy who finds out what's gone wrong, he says, monsters from the id. Now, the id is, for Sigmund Freud's word, for the subconscious mind. If the subconscious mind is full of monsters, don't be surprised if those monsters manifest somehow around you. So deal with the monsters. Come to terms, make peace with your dark side. Don't, if you assume you're squeaky clean, if in your mind you're squeaky clean compared to most others, your toxicity will leak out in a way that's hard to handle. So you can see God as God is perhaps this machine that makes everyone's dreams come true. But if 8 million people have different dreams, and some people have dreams of getting rich quick, and some people have dreams of a spiritual world, I criticise the spiritual world by saying, well, look, sitting cross-legged, meditating, loads of people saying isn't going to change the world. Also, loads of people signing up to the mafia isn't going to change the world either. So it's the mafia versus the mafia versus people of the oneness. Mafia, oneness. No, the mafia alone is not the solution. Oneness alone is not, but mafia, oneness plus everything else in hybridization is the answer. Well, it'll all come out in the wash. It's inevitable. So don't. There's a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Good book, and P.S. Everything is small stuff. Don't sweat. Find a way of not sweating. Not sweating. If one path leads to more sweat and one path leads to less sweat, follow the path that leads to less sweat. If enough people follow the path to less sweat, it'll all come out in the wash sooner rather than later. I think I'm talking perfect sense. Other people are going to think I've lost the plot. And I'm nearly there, actually. I think I'm there. Final note. Bottom of page 9. Bloody hell. Okay, what a thing to end with. Patience is a virtue. The root of all evil, maybe not the only root, but also maybe the only root. The root of all evil is impatience. Now, why do they say, some people say the root of all evil is money, but actually, I think that's a misquotation.